How about joining me in a glass of beer?
Beer and tea. That's all I need.
Listen, I want to talk to you about your drinking.
What happened? I mess around?
No, you didn't mess around.
Pass me a brew, I'm 40 out to do.
Once I'm drunk, I make a lot of things happen.
Once again, it's down south on down to back brew. I usually crack a brew when it's time to run. Hey, motherfuckers!
Represent.
For those that can drink, just drink and keep drinking.
Blunt to 6 packs and enjoy the fat track. Just a little something to break the monotony. I drink 20 40s, smoke 40 blunts. Instead of 5 mics, I'd rather have 5 brews.
And it's late at night, I catch a buzz getting away.
No shots, drink up and conversate. In the background banging, it's a funky break. I give it to you raw out the speaker.
What's going on? Deep Crates, getting nice with you each and every week here on the Crate Show. This week we're coming straight out of 88, 1988 that is, you know what I'm saying? Shout outs to straight out of Compton. The movie was released last week, but it got me thinking about the year it was dropped in, the album I mean, which was 1988. In 1988, the more and more I thought about it, was just an amazing year. The formula there was just crazy. The influence of everything from movies like, let's say, Action Jackson. Action Jackson came out in 1988, you know what I'm saying? Killer Clowns in Outer Space. The movie Colors dropped in 88. Beetlejuice, Coming to America, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Naked Gun, Young Einstein and Young Guns. Michael Jackson dropped The Moonwalker. You're a fucking liar if you say you never tried to moonwalk. Personal favorite, Fish Called Wanda. Also the animation breakthrough Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out in 88. I mean, it was just tons of good movies. Alien Nation, shout out. Remember guys, all you gotta do is get them motherfuckers in some salt water, son. I think that's it, right? Anyway, so movies were crazy. In sports, the fucking Detroit Pistons, the bad boys ruled the NBA. The Redskins beat the Broncos that year. Who won? The Dodgers beat the A's, that Kirk Gibson shit. So there's a West Coast reference for you, straight out of West Coast World Series. And even bigger news, the Oilers swept the Bruins 4-0 for the Cup, Stanley Cup that is. And then Gretzky got traded to LA, boom, more points, LA reference. Wayne Gretzky got traded to the LA Kings that summer, which was insane, like the day of my birthday or day before my birthday. So, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers won the Grey Cup. Shout outs to Spud Boy and everybody up in Canada. Anyways, video games. My shit was Narc. Narc was crazy. It was like say no to drugs, but kill everybody and destroy everything while you're doing it. It was like Double Dragon, which was awesome, but you have fucking guns and missiles and you just blow all these junkies up, and Narc was the most insane video game ever. I used to love hitting up the Brunswick Square Mall. I played Narc, and then I'd relax with Tubin. If you guys remember Tubin, it was like a real colorful game. It was a vertical player, and you were going down a tube, and you had to hit the buttons to paddle. Yeah, I was paddling, not scratching. Tubin, if you remember Tubin, T-O-O-B-I-N in the arcade. Contra was huge, that was my shit. Street Fighter was at the Route 18 flea market, used to play that. Nintendo was hitting hard at homes. Sega had Altered Beast and Outrun though. Shout out to all my Sega heads. I was a Sega head back in the day. And probably most importantly of all, for you game heads, video game nerds, John Madden. The first John Maddens came out in 1988. That's right. Contrary to what you might believe, the first John Maddens was put out on the Apple II platform, along with, I believe, the Commodore 64, as well as the 128 platform. John Maddens, 1988. Crazy year. What do we got on TV? Saturday morning cartoons were still dope. We had like Muppet Babies, into like Pee-wee's Playhouse on CBS. They were killing shit. Then they had like Garfield and Hey Vernon's Ernest. NBC had the Gummy Bears, which is dope. The Real Ghostbusters with Slimer. They had Smurfs and Alf Tales, which was like Alf and the Shirt Tails, I think, mixed into an hour. So they were dope. ABC was kind of whack. They had like Pound Puppies and Kissy Fur on and other bullshit, I think. Anyways, we were talking about the Tick last week too. The Tick comic book first appeared in 1988. That's right, the Tick comic book first out in 1988. The Killing Joke, for all you comic book nerds, the Batman graphic novel about the Joker, which was pretty graphic at the time and pretty great. The Killing Joke was the big comic book thing that year that I remember. TV shows, we were talking about Saturday morning TV, and I got sidetracked, but it's too many to name, but 21 Jump Street, Alf, Jem, MacGyver, Max Headroom was out, Mr. Belvedere, I like Moonlighting, I gotta say, Punky Brewster, shout out Salil Moon Fry, The Twilight Zone, the rebooted show, it was like an hour-long Twilight Zone. Late at night that was on. So was like Freddy's Nightmares. Shout out to those cable channels that have Freddy's Nightmares on late with Robert Englund. Who's the Boss? Webster. Shout out Emmanuel Lewis. They had the What's Happening Now. What's Happening Now, the reboot of What's Happening. Yo MTV Raps was hitting. Yo MTV Raps. I had to take a drink before I mentioned my favorite, Sledgehammer. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, Sledgehammer. Big shout out to David Rash. What the hell was the lieutenant's name? His partner Dory. Sledgehammer, he's like an over-the-top cop on the edge. And he had like just mad sexist and racist and fucked up lines he'd say, but he always managed to solve the case or whatever. So anyway, we're talking about 88, and I mentioned all these things. Are you feeling me? Are you going back? If you're too young to remember, trust me, it was a good time. So now we get into music. Now music in 88, I started looking at it by month. So we'll go month to month. We'll start in January. Megadeth. So far, so good, so what? So Deep Crates in 88, I was kind of getting out of the metal as far as like traditional Sabbath, Ozzy, Maiden, Priest. I was looking for heavier stuff like Megadeth, and I was getting out of the pop, rock, and metal into more punk, hardcore, thrash, and of course hip-hop was always growing. Hip-hop was still relatively new, so there was just more and more shit to check every week. It was constantly elevating, you know what I'm saying? So 1988 Deep Crates is kind of getting out of that stuff, which is funny. I look back then, it was considered heavy as hell. I was on like Sirius Radio and they had like Maiden and Priest on like classic light rock channel and shit. I thought it was funny because back then it was like, oh my god, you worship Satan, craziness. So anyway, Megadeth came out in January. Shout out to LA Guns. Yeah. Next month, February, Biz Markie. This is not the tape that came out. It was Biz Markie going off. But I brought this out, all samples cleared, to remind me to talk about the time period too, 1988. Samples and getting money for samples and shit was all relatively new. So there were like some of the first lawsuits that would soon come out following 1988 about samples, clearances, and rights and shit. So it was such a pivotal, like, ground-changing year. And just in general, somebody my age from the 70s to now, like the sample issues, the PMRC Tipper Gore issues, the Napster issues, it's like such an evolution in music over the last 40 years. It's just insane, like the way technology's affected shit and stuff. But anyway, back to the countdown. So February, Biz Markie came out. I had the Megadeth I was pumping, but then Biz Markie came out, and I love that shit. Then next month, Dougie Fresh came out. I believe the world's greatest entertainer. Oh, that's not it. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's not it. Wrong album. But anyway, I got a mess in the lab. Also, that month, shout out to skater chicks and hot punk girls back in the day. Morrissey, Viva Hate. Just like Compton, this motherfucker.
Good evening, and welcome to Easy's Playhouse, you stupid motherfucker!
Now that you got the album, what the fuck are you gonna do with it, bitch?
This is the ballad of a myth. I'm
It looks like you're going to be in the record business. You think it's a pretty good idea? Oh, yeah.
This is a ballad of our minutes. Rain will finish in the minutes. All the suckers that don't think it fall like me that was in this society wishes for my death or my downfall, but they're playing itself as if they're playing some ground ball, cause I'm terrorizing the territory I'm stepping on, endangering citizens while I'm keeping my weapon on. I hit like a psycho, cause to me it was fittable. I just got word the Rufus villain was critical. Let's get it straight, the ones that want to can come with that. Illiterate motherfuckers, I'll make you look dumb with that.
The motherfucking saga continues.
Oh, hell don't believe in the real gangster shit. Cause when it comes to the real niggas, it makes the shit that much harder to deal with. Yeah! I'm on the wall to this motherfucker! Black Mafia for life!
Deep Crates here with my rants of the week. So, how many of y'all were pissed too when they went to these perforated tape inserts? I hated that shit. It would come apart, or you give it to your homeboy to borrow, and it would be perfect condition and come back looking like this, all perforated. Or the motherfucker wouldn't even give you back the tape fucking case. I used to hate that shit. That motherfuckers borrow tapes, you get it back looking all raggedy, no cover and shit. But I hated these perforated things, man. And like, I guess it was like the early 90s they switched to that shit. Comment if you hated the perforated as well. A lot of dope order forms, and I'll tell you what, inflation is a motherfucker. Because back then you can get a t-shirt for $10, which I still think is the right price for a fucking t-shirt. Nowadays, let's see, Ice Cube hat, 20 bucks. Okay, nowadays it would be 45 or 60 at Lids. Ice Cube baseball shirt, 40 bucks. That should be 40 bucks still. Now it's like 100. The Predator t-shirt, $13.50. Okay, this is when the t-shirts started going up around Predator. Because if you look at like, let's see, let me grab another one. Shout out to anybody that ever had that Compton University t-shirt. I used to have it back in the day. I copped at the flea market. I didn't order it. So let's look at that. Where a t-shirt is $12.95. A t-shirt is $12.95 and a sweatshirt is $19.95. Cube wanted $13.50 and $19.95 or $29.95 for the embroidered joints. Yeah, great album here, The Predator.
What's up, quick zone, it's a homie. God, please, what kid?
Ain't life a motherfucker.